Oh, thank you very much. It's very exciting and overwhelming to stand up here in front of such an amazing audience. And thank you to those who have given me this award. I feel really privileged. So I have nothing to disclose, apart from the fact that I talk too fast when I'm nervous, so huge apologies if this takes 2 minutes instead of 10. So I thought it would be useful just to give you a little bit of background about who I am and where I come from, and perhaps, hopefully, where my communication strengths have arisen. I'm the youngest of 4 children in an Irish family, which is never as sunny as it looks. Those cows are clearly from somewhere else. But actually, Ireland has a very, very rich tapestry of communication through poetry and theatre and music and dance. And I guess we should all be grateful I'm not going to break into a reel right now. But I think we are known for being loquacious and talkers and people who love to chat to others. And we're called, curious. Like, we're basically very nosy. And I think all of these factors lead into good communication skills. But I think we're also quite good listeners. And also, I have to recognise that I have the huge advantage of coming from a country where we speak English as a first language. And a lot of the communication we do across our community in medicine and in paediatric infectious diseases is done through English. And I'm always so impressed by our colleagues who don't speak English as a first language but have immense communication skills. I've been very fortunate to travel and work overseas as part of my training in Kenya and Peru and South Africa. And I think seeing different perspectives and understanding the challenges in different settings also leads to really good communication. Communication isn't just about speaking, although this is what my first slide is all about, but it's also about how we do rapid risk assessments, which I think are part and parcel of our job on a day-to-day basis, how we communicate that risk and how we mitigate that risk. And so I'm going to give 2 examples of how important our community in paediatric infectious diseases and the networks that we have created with each other have led to really good communication examples. So I have 2 roles that were really key to me being in a position to use communication as a tool to support people during the pandemic. And the first is that I was the convener of the British Paediatric Allergy Infection Immunity Group, which is the kind of British equivalent of ESPID. And at the same time, I'm one of the co-leads for high-consequence infectious diseases at Imperial College, where I work in London. And so when the COVID pandemic started, I had my first meeting about this on the 9th of January, which really would have been good if the government had been there. But we started planning and writing guidelines and preparing and thinking about training and PPE and donning and doffing very early on in that year. And I think that working with colleagues in the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, and then subsequently with ESPID and WISPID and the World Health Organization, preparing these guidelines and sharing them through webinars, but publications, is such a key part of that risk assessment when there is no evidence. And Maria put this really beautifully in her opening talk at this meeting, that you have to be able to be honest about the evidence you do and don't have, to try and develop and create that evidence and then communicate it in a reassuring manner to those who don't know about it. And so I found that I was in a very good position to do this because we had a head start in gathering the information that we had from previous SARS-CoV pandemics as well as other outbreaks. And then, of course, just when we kind of thought we knew what we were doing, this new post-infectious inflammatory condition emerged, which we've called PIMS because we like a summer drink, but is called MIS-C in other parts of the world. And I just put this figure up. I've used this in a number of my talks, but it, for me, demonstrates the importance of communication with our colleagues. We're a very close-knit network. I always feel I come to ESPID, and I've been coming for 15 years, that I come to see my family. There are so many wonderful people in our group that I could reach up a phone and speak to. I've had help from Jorge, from my father-in-law who broke his leg in Lisbon. We are an amazing group of people. But in April 2020, when a colleague rang to say, have you seen these cases of children who've got a really weird toxic shock-like syndrome? And I spoke to my colleague at Great Ormond Street because we'd had 2 cases and we quickly ascertained that we were seeing something that was quite novel and new. And then I reached out to my wonderful colleagues at Imperial, so Hermione Lyle and Mike Levine, and said, what do we do? Where's your wisdom? And sat down and worked out that there had been 19 children in a week who had presented in England with this post-infectious inflammatory condition, which we went through in great detail with NHS England and UKHSA and various colleagues to try and understand what we were seeing and started to disseminate that information. And a really crucial part of that is gathering that information and publishing it so that it is available for others to know about, but also to write guidelines, which we did both nationally with the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, including a case definition, but also with the World Health Organization and subsequently the CDC in America. And beyond that, we also need to think about treatment, because there is a real danger, as has been mentioned a couple of times, in using empiric treatment without some kind of consensus. So we did a Delphi consensus procedure to think about what are the safest treatments to do and what is the best management of these children, which informed the recovery trial and various observational studies, including BATS, both of which I've been part of, which are really so that development of evidence and that gathering of evidence and dissemination is a really crucial part of good communication. So this time last year, I was with two of my favourite people having a drink at ESPID in the wonderful setting of Athens when I got a message on my phone with this picture. And sadly, I'm not this glamorous, but I spent most of the rest of the meeting at ESPID on the phone to various people talking about this little baby who was the first case of monkeypox in a child that then led to the recognition of the outbreak that was discussed at various sessions this day. And so this little baby with monkeypox led to the recognition of our networks once again. So we quickly got in touch with the UK HSA team, but we also reached out across the High Consequence Infectious Diseases Network. And subsequently, we spoke to West African colleagues who were extremely helpful in the management of this baby. And having that ability to network and reach out to the right people at the right time has been really fundamental, again, in the development of guidelines. So we've worked with various colleges, both nationally and internationally, did more webinars, wrote guidelines with ESPID and WISPID and ECDC, but most importantly, thinking about how we can prevent this outbreak from going out of control and doing work on treatment access and vaccine development, and coming up, again, with those publications to demonstrate and share that information, which is a huge part of communication. And I think this has been one of the things that is really important, is that we admit when we don't know what we're talking about. I think Maria mentioned that on Tuesday as well, but also that we are open and honest and approachable for people to be able to communicate with us. And I'm very fortunate because I work with an amazing group of people in London, many of whom are here today, but I also have a very supportive family. And I think that those back structures allow you to have the time, frankly, to spend hours on the phone and on meetings in order to do the communication, but also to contribute to your ability to be happy in yourself, which is part of good communication. And I would say thank you very much yet again. Bye.